We are back on Patriots 4th and 2, the official podcast of PatsFans.com. I'm Russ Coleman. Joining me is Steve Balsherry and Ian Logue, who is the head man for PatsFans.com. In this episode, we're going to briefly talk about the Steelers' victory. We will preview the upcoming game against the Chiefs, and we have a couple of topics we'll be discussing in this abbreviated show. Just want to mention quickly, I am actually filling in for Derek, who is dealing with a sickness, and Derek hopefully will be back for the next episode. Okay, let's just get to it, guys. Steve, opening thoughts on the victory on last Thursday.
Yeah, as per norm, the Steelers played to the level of their competition. I was on Pittsburgh radio as a guest with my buddy Ralph Williams, and we talked about it. And the host of the Steelers show referred to Tomlin as mediocre Mike, and they had no doubts that the Patriots were going to score points against the Steelers defense, which came as a surprise.
Okay, very good. Ian, over to you. Thoughts on the victory? Does it mean anything?
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously interesting to see how Bailey Zappi performed. I thought he played better than expected. I mean, obviously, coming off all the issues with Mac Jones, I mean, they needed to kind of take a step in the right direction. You couldn't really tell much from him the week before. I didn't think so anyway, especially playing in a downpour. But it was a nice step in the right direction. As far as what it means for Belichick's future, who knows? I mean, the reports certainly, especially based on what Curran said, which obviously we're going to talk about, I don't think leaves the window open very well there. But, I mean, I guess we'll see how it goes.
Okay, excellent. I'll share my thoughts on it, and it's very simple. Patriots could still beat the teams that do what they do. This is one of the reasons why I am completely against the firing potentially of Bill Belichick, because the system in place allows the Patriots to beat teams like this. They actually really did a number on Mitch Trubisky, changed things at the line of scrimmage. These are telltales of a Bill Belichick coach team. Offensively, they know how to beat the Steelers, even with Bailey Zappi, who I think is a mediocre quarterback at best. But they did that. So for me, I don't think it's a bad thing to win a game. I'm never going to root for them to lose, but I know it's better for them if they do. So for me, it's a victory, and I'm glad that they won. And I'll just leave it at that. I'm glad that they won. Okay, guys, let's quickly move on. Let's talk about the report, as Ian just said, coming from Tom Curran from NBC Sports Boston. He's reporting that the decision has already been made on Bill Belichick, and he will be gone after the season ends. So I'm just going to say this, and Steve, I'll go to you. I believe the report to be true. So let's just treat it to be true, because I've spoken to Tom Curran. I know Tom Curran is not going to put it out there if this is not true. I believe Bill Belichick will be gone at the end of the season. I think this is a tremendous error in judgment from the Kraft family. I'm going to say it right now. I'm treating this as a done deal. And I think it is embarrassing that they're going to do this to the greatest coach that ever coached the game. They're going to do it like this. They're just going to split him, just let him go. And, we all know it's going to happen. And honestly, I'm very upset by it. I believe the story to be true. What are your thoughts?
I expect that it's going to be true as well. Tom Curran is usually pretty dialed in with his sources, and you saw the body language of the Krafts in Germany, because that's when Tom was saying, they made the decision after the game in Germany. You could see the body language; it was not good with the owners, and we can argue about whether it's the right call or bad call after the season's over. But I do think that his sources are probably right on. And I think that means there's going to be a boatload of changes coming in as soon as the season's over. And, we'll have to see where everything falls in line. That's going to affect everything. The coaching staff, the GM position, the players, the ones that they keep. So it's going to be a tumultuous offseason.
Okay, excellent. Over to you, Ian, and you've been following this closely, and I believe this story to be true. I'm sure you're going to feel the same way. So this is the way I look at it, Ian. If this is to be true, and I believe it is to be true, for me, I don't want the program to go away. And I think if you do this, the program goes away. Everything that was built goes away. It completely goes away. People can say, well, it needs to go away. What has made the Patriots special over these seasons with Belichick is an identity. They do this, the identity is gone. The identity is gone. It's completely blown away. We can look back at the past, but I like the Patriots' identity. It will go once Belichick goes in. That's why I'm very upset by this.
I mean, I don't disagree. It's so funny that people kind of have, they can't seem to separate the whole GM part from the coaching part. I mean, they go into every single game, they're well prepared.
That's right.
I mean, the games that they've lost, save for the debacle in Dallas and obviously with the Saints, I mean, they've been in every single game. They played tough opponents year after year, and I mean, they're in those contests. It's just that they can't seem to separate the whole, GM versus the head coaching. Now, obviously, I mean, none of us are going to disagree that, what they've done from a personnel standpoint, especially heading into this season, there was a lot of questionable moves. I still don't know why they extended Devontae Parker. I mean, that's going to boggle my mind forever. But I mean, that's really where the issue is. I don't have any issue with him as a head coach. I also think it's hilarious that, people are so upset about the fact he's got 2 kids on his staff who weren't just handed those positions. I mean, they started out as low level, assistants or whatever until they moved up to where they are. That side of the football, I don't recall the safety position being an issue. Obviously, everybody's happy with the defense. I mean, that's the number one issue that I, sort of have. I'm not really for firing him. Don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously, there's going to have to be some decisions made. The thing that we don't know from a player standpoint is we don't know who made the final call. I mean, was it Matt Groh? Was it Belichick? I mean, Belichick kind of tried to distance himself over the last couple of weeks from some of those decisions. So, I mean, that's sort of where I stand. I don't think they should fire him. I know it's coming, but I fall into the whole premise of, be careful what you wish for, because the grass may not be greener. So.
Right. And that's my point, Ian. And then we're going to move on, because obviously here it's a big story. And Steve, I'm going to you, and then we're going to just wrap up and move on, because there are other topics I want to talk about besides this. As you said, I'm glad that you said this. We'll tackle this in more detail once the season ends, right? We will. But what bothers me about this is that this actually, I truly believe, and I know Ian's going to cringe when I say this, is that this is pressure that has come on, not just from the Patriots record, but from the media. The media has really pushed this narrative for years. Now they're getting what they want. And let's be honest with us here. They've affected the fans beyond the winning and losing to really go against Belichick. And for me, I think part of this is the pressure that the Crafts are getting from the media and also the fans.
That's very true. I mean, to your point right there, they're not all of the media, but there's been a segment of it that's been calling for Belichick's head since their last Super Bowl win. We heard calls for his head that season when they stumbled there at about the 3-quarter mark until, they kind of righted the ship down the stretch, and then ended up winning the Super Bowl. So, and they blame Belichick for the Brady fiasco, which we know for a fact that it wasn't him. And, when the media is affecting the fan base because they're parroting the same stuff that they're hearing on the radio.
That's right, Steve. That's right. And Ian, I'll give you a final word on this. I know you don't like that I focus so much on the media part of this, but you follow the media part of this, and you know that really what I'm saying is true.
No, I mean, I obviously see it all the time on the message board. I mean, that's a lot of people are repeating the same stuff that they hear on the radio. I think the pressure, obviously, I think is coming. I wouldn't say more from the media. I would say certainly more from social media. I mean, if you look back at, back in 99 or whatever, when Pete Carroll was here, I mean, obviously, back then it was a topic just from people calling in on the radio. I can only imagine, that he might have gotten fired a year earlier. If social media existed back then, given how the outrage and how frustrated people were. But I think that's where most of it's coming now. I think they're hearing frustration with the fans. I mean, obviously having 10 losses heading into December certainly didn't help things. So it's just, it's not a good situation. And, having it exacerbated by what's being said on air isn't helping.
No, it's not. It's not, my friend. And like I said, we're going to be focusing more. I'm sure Derek and Steve will really be focusing on what happens afterwards, after this happens on our flagship show, which I'm happy to host today while Derek recovers from this illness. So very good that we had a quick discussion on that. To go on that, guys, I do have another media story because it involves Malik Cunningham, Steve. Now, I told you this. I've been staying away pretty much since the beginning of the season from anything, except for social media. But I decided and made a mistake to turn on the new Three Stooges show along with Greg Bernard. Okay? So they took Malik Cunningham being picked up by the Ravens and treating him like he's Lamar Jackson. So for me, this to me blew me away. I don't even know if they saw him ultimately as a quarterback or a wide receiver, but good for him to go to the Baltimore Ravens. But there's a reason why he wasn't drafted, Steve. There's a reason for it. Okay. So to treat this, and these shows make fun of us talking about the 53-man roster. This is someone that's even on the practice squad, and they're turning into a big loss, Steve.
Well, and, the proof will be in the pudding when he goes to the Ravens, right? Were the Patriots misusing his talent? We don't know. Will he turn out to be Lamar Jackson? We don't know. Obviously the Patriots had a vision for him. It didn't work out. When I heard the news yesterday, I'm wondering if Baltimore is just going to use him as a Taysom Hill type of guy. They see him in that role where he can come in, run the football on occasion, maybe throw the occasional pass, maybe catch a pass, But until we see, how the Ravens work with him, then I think, we can't, you can't make a definitive, proclamation on whether or not this is a huge loss. But the bottom line is he was on the practice squad. He wasn't on the active roster. Was it a mistake? We'll find out.
Okay. Ian, what do you make of all this? Because I've said this to you off air. This just reminds me so much, and most fans won't know this name, Michael Bishop. Michael Bishop was a quarterback that actually the Patriots drafted, and Michael Bishop had a great career at Kansas State, but it was pretty obvious he was just going to be, if he was going to be anything, it was going to be a backup. Malik Cunningham is not even at that level yet, and here we are treating it like it's this huge loss, like we lost our two starting defensive players, which is a bigger story, and no one seemed to talk about anymore. That's a huge story of partially why the Patriots season went down the toilet is Matthew Judon and Christian Gonzalez both got hurt. We don't talk about that. No one talks about the effect that has, but we talk about the effect of Malik Cunningham. Come on.
I mean, it is a little ridiculous. And, the Bishop reference, I agree with you. I don't think anybody that was around, most people, I don't think even know much about the team really after 2001, it feels like some days. But as far as Cunningham goes, I mean, you're talking about a guy, he threw a total of 6 passes in the preseason. As far as a receiver, he was targeted 9 times with 1 catch. I mean, obviously he was a project. The thing that I wonder about is whether or not, he was necessarily happy with only being a receiver, it felt like. And Belichick was actually asked about whether or not they tried to keep him this morning, and he told them that basically that that the Ravens gave him an opportunity that Cunningham obviously felt was a better fit, and that's obviously what he decided to do. But as far as how it's going to affect the team, I don't it would have been nice to kind of see him maybe develop, but I don't know if it's necessarily a huge loss.
I agree there, Ian. And listen, I wish him all the best. And I think he's actually going to be in a good situation with the
Yeah,
Ravens backing up Lamar Jackson.
Well, and just one other comment on that. I saw the quote from Trent Brown.
I did too.
That was interesting because he made it seem like the Patriots didn't appreciate him because he said, congrats or something, going to a team that appreciates your talent. And I found that a little eyebrow raising, to say the least.
Okay. Well, I saw that as well. And I don't think Trent Brown has many time left on the New England Patriots either for different reasons. But
I mean, the one thing I will say by going to the Ravens, I mean, Lamar Jackson, injury-wise, has certainly had a history of getting hurt like right around now. So, I mean, this might actually work out pretty well for him. So
it might. It might be a good fit. So if you care about the player itself or the person, it might be a good fit for him. So that's not a bad thing for him. All right, guys, before we talk about the Chiefs game, like I said, this is an abbreviated show. I have to talk about this. Steve, let's talk about Patrick Mahomes. Now, I did not see this live. I only learned about it from Brady. My son Brady told me about this the next day and had me watch videos of the press conference, of how he reacted after the game, all of this. Now, here are my thoughts on Patrick Mahomes. I still think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback, the best player in the game. So that, I think, that's where I go on that. The reaction, throwing the helmet, getting all upset. Listen, Tom Brady did that. So how critical can I be when I've seen Tom Brady do this? This is where I separate it, where Tom Brady's not going to go in a press conference and blame the refs. Patrick Mahomes did. And that, to me, is the issue I have, because it's the right call. It's the right call. If you got a problem, Patrick Mahomes, blame your player, not publicly, but you should have an issue with the player itself than the referees, Steve. That's my issue. It's blaming the refs from a player. I don't like that. Belichick, again, he's done it a little bit. But he's careful on what he says. You shouldn't be blaming the refs for a loss when they actually got the call right, Steve.
Yeah, the bottom line is they all acknowledged that their player was offside. Okay, they all acknowledged that. But what they didn't acknowledge was that it was a foul. And what they said, well, they shouldn't have called it since, we scored a touchdown. Well, that's the whole point, because the guy who was offside scored the touchdown. And that's being lost in the whole translation. Look, I get where Mahomes is upset. That's a big game.
Yep.
National TV, everyone's watching, and your team has been struggling offensively for a while. And that plays into this. So they're playing Buffalo. It's a tight game all through the game. Buffalo takes the lead. We've seen this before. Mahomes gets the ball. He drives it down the field. And then they fall short because of the penalty. That happened in the 2018 AFC Championship game between the Chiefs and D Ford, right? Brady throws an interception, but D Ford was offside.
It was the right call. It was the right
call. And for Mahomes, look, I get it. It's, the sideline stuff, I have no issue with, because it's in the heat of the moment. And like you, where I draw the line is how he reacted to Josh Allen. Now, Josh Allen wasn't offside. Josh Allen didn't throw the flag. And for Mahomes to go up there and say what he did to Josh Allen after the game, that's totally wrong in my book.
Okay.
So,
Ian, I want to get
his comments in the press conference. He was totally wrong there. And I go back to that game with the Patriots and Chiefs. Tom Brady was the quarterback. N'Keal Harry scores a touchdown. and they ruled him out. After the game, what did Brady say? And I'm paraphrasing here because I don't have the quote right in front of me. I should have pulled it up. But Brady basically said, look, when you play in this league, Some calls you're going to get, some you're not going to get, and I worry more about the opportunities that we missed rather than where the refs got one wrong.
Okay, excellent. Over to you, Ian. I'm glad that Steve referenced D Ford because they actually have something in common with this situation with Mahomes. It affects the Chiefs once again, but both times it was the right call. So just accept it. Like Steve said, with Brady talking about sometimes the calls go for you, sometimes they go against you. It's just part of the game. It's as simple as that. The player offside is the one that you should be upset with, not the referees. Ian, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it certainly didn't help the situation either. The next night, Jalen Waddle lined up offsides. That was a still that was all over Twitter yesterday.
Yeah,
and it wasn't called. I mean, the players all want the officials to basically alert them to whether or not they lined up offsides. But I mean, when you've got a massive amount of crowd noise, if you go back and look, I mean, Tony was looking at the ball. I mean, he had no chance. He didn't even check with the official. So I mean, there was no way to, you can blame it on the official, I guess, for not alerting you. But if you're not looking in his direction and Mahomes snaps the ball, it doesn't matter at that point. So
right.
I don't know. It's one of those plays that I guess if I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm upset, but it's like, whatever, man, be mad at Tony for lining up wrong at the end of the day, because that's what happens. So
exactly. Good point, guys. All right.
Yeah, because the whole point was
ahead,
no
Steve.
one was arguing that he was offside because he was,
Mhm.
Right.
but they would just argue.
Well, the players just want, quote unquote, consistency, but
Right.
I mean, they also have to take some accountability.
Exactly. And that's my point, guys. Great stuff. All right. Coming up next to end the show, we're going to quickly preview the upcoming game for the Patriots against the Chiefs. Okay, Ian, I'm going to go to you first. Let's talk about the Chiefs. It's funny about it because I actually look forward to the game. I want the Patriots to play well, and I wouldn't be upset if they won this game. I know it will hurt their draft situation, but I want them to win. How much do you think that last game will affect the Chiefs, and how much do you think the Steelers' victory will affect the Patriots? Your thoughts on the Chiefs going into this game?
Well, the thing that stinks is, I mean, I would have rather seen Kansas City win and have them coming in here off a win instead of coming in here off a loss. I think obviously they're going to be coming in here with a fair amount of intensity that they might not have had they not pulled that one out. As far as the Patriots go, I think, you look at what Zappe's done the last couple of games. Obviously, they didn't get any points in the first one. Last week, obviously, he had a big first half. I think he threw only a total of 7 passes in the second half after throwing 21 in the first half. So they were obviously conservative with him. But I think they've got a shot at this one. I mean, if you go back and look at the game back in 2020, I think it was 2020 when Hoyer played. I mean, save for that stupid miscue at the end of the half when he lost track of the timeouts. I mean, they were in that game. I mean, it was 6-3 going into the locker room. And then they just came unglued in the second half. I don't think that's going to happen this time around. And I think they're going to keep the Chiefs in check. And I think, if Zappe can play as well as he did and build off what he did last Thursday, I like their chances. So, draft choice aside, I mean, the solace will be if they lose that, their draft pick status stays the same. But, I'm looking forward to it. I'm pretty interested in this one.
So am I. And Steve, over to you. I'm actually excited for this game. I actually think the Patriots have a decent chance to win this based on what happened to Kansas City, what they're going with, and also what the Patriots are doing. They got nothing to lose. And for whatever reason, I'm not a Bailey Zappe fan, but Bailey Zappe and the Patriots offense has been a little bit better. I think they have a decent chance to win this game. Your thoughts on the Chiefs and the Patriots heading into the game?
Yeah, I mean, Kansas City's been scuffling along offensively, nowhere near what we're used to seeing. And, their issues on offense present for them another difficult matchup because the Patriots defense has been playing very well. So the big thing for me is, will the Patriots be able to score? Because that Kansas City defense is pretty good. I think it's very good, actually. And, Steve Spagnuolo, Massachusetts native, he's going to, I think, with the issues they've had at pass protection, I think they're going to blitz the heck out of Zappe this week.
That's what I would do.
That's going to be the key. If they can buy him enough time, will they be able to move the ball? And that's going to be that. I think the defense will hold Kansas City to a reasonable amount. But will they be able to score that reasonable amount? I don't know. We'll have to see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Steve, right back to you. Give me your 3 keys to victory and also give me your prediction for the game.
Well, I think, your 3 keys, I just went over the big one is, they have to protect Zappe and allow him to make plays. I mean, he can't be running for his life on every play or it's going to be a very long game. And the second one, still on the offensive side of the ball, I think as tough as the Chiefs' run defense has been, they have to feed Ezekiel Elliott in this game. They have to keep trying to grind out some yardage and get him the ball and control the clock. Third key is your defense has to hold up and they have to force a turnover or 2, to keep themselves in this one.
Okay. What's your prediction, Steve?
I think Kansas City wins this one. I'm going to say 20-13.
Okay. Wow. Patriots scoring 13 points. That wouldn't be so terrible, Steve. Okay. Ian, over to you. What are your keys to victory? 3 of them. And then also your prediction.
Well, I mean, I sort of fall in the same place that Steve does as far as the defense. I mean, they're going to have to get turnovers. I think they're going to also have to get obviously pressure on Patrick Mahomes. That's been an issue in recent weeks. If you go back and you look at the Buffalo game, that was an area that Kansas City really did a good job with Buffalo throughout that one. So I am sort of concerned as far as that goes. I think one area that Zappe seems to do a good job of is, throwing when he has to move outside the pocket. I think it's going to be smart for them to move him around and get him outside. And I'd say the last key would be, it's going to be the running game. I don't know if Elliott's going to be able to go through and have the same workload he had, a week ago. Obviously they released Ty Montgomery.
Right.
So I'm sort of curious to see obviously who steps in behind him. I think Kevin Harris, if I remember correctly, I think he was active last week, but he didn't play. So I'm sort of curious to see if he gets any snaps this week. But yeah, I mean, basically ground game, moving Zappe around and getting turnovers. That would be my 3. As far as my prediction, I posted on the board. It's Patriots 23, Chiefs 19. I think they edge them out at home.
Wow. Steve, should I go with Ian? Because first of all, we don't get a chance to talk to Ian that much. And also he's predicting a Patriots victory. Nah, I'm still going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going 13-0 to the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think the Patriots are going to score.
Wow.
But I would be happy to be wrong.
That hurts kind of.
I know. I would be happy to be wrong. The good thing that, again, I think we have to take notice of is how well the Patriots defense has played. I mean, I don't think enough is being said about this. I've seen deflection on this, saying teams know that they don't have to really have their A game against the. I've heard all kinds of reasons, but you can't really look past the fact that they are playing very well on defense. And the fact that they're doing this without their 2 best defensive players is even more impressive. I look forward to next season with this defense. Well, I should say that as a caveat, who's going to be the coach, but we'll talk about that in a future show. As always, guys, thank you so much. I just want to mention I was happy to fill in for Derek, just dealing with a sickness, and Derek hopefully and Steve will be back next week to do a great show, which they do each and every week. Highly recommend you listening to every show Derek and Steve do. They do an excellent job. As always, please do subscribe on the Patriots 4th and 2. The Patriots 4th and 2 on Apple Podcasts. Please do subscribe. Leave us a review. It does help other Patriots fans find us. Also, do subscribe on the PatsFans.com YouTube channel. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Patriots 4th and 2. I'm Russ Goldman. He's Steve Balestrieri. He is Ian Lowe. Thank you, as always, for watching and listening to Patriots 4th and 2, the official podcast of PatsFans.com.